But I thought what would be very fitting for this episode for current athletes, but also athletes that are at the tail end of their career or maybe just recently retired.
Yeah.
We were talking about how you don't realize how many life lessons you've learned through athletics that apply to pretty much everything. So when you kind of think about that, I'll leave it open for you, but how has your volleyball career, everything that you've gone through since, I know you started playing like competitive club at 15, but even before that, you were playing all these sports, right? How has all of those things translated to make this transition into being a project engineer actually kind of seamless?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it the other day, and there's so much that you kind of learn through it without being taught. And you have coworkers and stuff who weren't athletes, and you kind of see that they haven't learned that skill yet, or they haven't gone through that yet. And it's kind of interesting, just because I'm a project engineer, and engineering is a lot of math, but mainly it's project management. It's just all communication. So being like in a team, working with guys, working with a foreman, working with workers, working with coworkers, and like seeing some people who like aren't good at communicating, who can't speak up in a meeting, or who just can't work well with others. Like you're always gonna have like that coach that's just like old school, right? And like you just learn, like you have to go through it. Like he's just an old school coach, like and you just accept it, right? But people are like, oh, he's mean or something like that. You just kind of have to accept that part's out of your control too, and you have to learn how to work with different people. Everyone's different, everyone handles it differently, or processes things differently. So having to work with different people with different personalities, like it's just like the major thing, I think.
Like I guess thinking about that too, there's so many different experiences that you've been put into through sports was just a vehicle, and some of that is maybe dealing with difficult personalities or difficult coaches, or how to still work together as a team to accomplish the one goal, right? Like even if things are rocky or rough, you still are trying to work together to win games or win a championship. And in the workforce too, it's kind of the same thing. You all have to work together to accomplish a certain goal.
Make some money.
And when you talk about this too, so let's branch off on a little tangent, but this is an interesting idea or something to talk about. It's like, talk about coaches that you've had too. Like because coaches, they're kind of like in the real world, like managers or leaders or someone that's taking that lead role to kind of direct the direction of where you want to head, right? So think about in sports, what are some of the things that you gravitated towards from your coaches, or maybe even the other side? We don't have to mention any names, but coaches that were not so good at grabbing you or relating to, right? What were some of these qualities of good or bad coaches that you've experienced?
Well, I've always remembered this one saying. He was a USC coach, Jeff Nygaard, and he's saying there's no such thing as a bad coach. Like even your worst and worst of coaches, you're always learning something, whether it's patience, whether, anything.
Anything.
And I've always thought about that a lot since I was in high school. Going through UH, going overseas. Overseas is more of a team manager aspect instead of a coach. They don't really teach you skills. They just kind of manage personalities and players. But just kind of learning how to work with each coach is a huge part. Like how to communicate. Like, coach, what do you like? Every coach has a different style too, coaching style, but also play style, like how they want the team to play. So trying to figure that out, like, hey coach, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? And being able to communicate that with them to get on the court is something that you need to pick up quickly too. You can't just be like the best player ever. And like, it's not that easy. Like even though the skills are all there, like the coaches, it's just not that easy to get on the court. Definitely. And there are a lot of personalities and styles of coaching, and it's not always going to be the most, I guess, seamless transition or the easiest relationship, right, between a player and a coach. And now kind of switch your gears, put on your coaching hat, right? Thinking of trying to coach now younger players, right? And you being a player yourself, what are some things that make
the player or you more coachable, right? Because that's the other thing too. Like, you can blame everything on like, okay, this coach doesn't get me or isn't helping me or whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's on us too to actually, okay, let's see what they're looking for or what they want from us.
Yeah.
So that we can actually receive the coaching, right? And what are some of your thoughts there, I guess, going through sports? Like, how do you, either you in your firsthand experience, try to be more coachable to these coaches, or when you're talking to a player or someone that you're coaching, what do you expect from them to be more coachable to?
Well, I always attributed it to like my time at wasn't a big recruit, but was always in the coach's office, like asking like, what do I need to do, and I found like passing would get me on the court, so I wanted to be the best passer on the team. And just talking to coach like how to get on the court, and like we talked about last time, that full circle about like court presence, right? And then there's like different guys, you see players who are more talented than me, more athletic, but are like almost stubborn and set in their ways and not willing to maybe try something different or work harder in a different skill, and they end up transferring, and then it doesn't always work out for them because they don't learn that they don't go through that you kind of have to like just do it. You just got to do it. Like, whether you can't just take the easy road and go to another team. Like, it's not that easy, right? And then you come back to coaching, and then you have girls who are like asking questions, how to get better, like they know the experience you have, and then there's others that are just super quiet. And it's personality too, and then you see them, like even the quiet ones, like they're thinking. They're thinkers. They're definitely critical thinkers, and they're thinking about like, I should have done this, I should have done that, my arm swings need to be here. So just trying to communicate that and not trying to overload them with information either. It's just like a hard, or it's just a learning balance, trying to balance all that out,
Listening to you and thinking on my experiences too, right? Because a long time ago when I had to, I was on a team and had to get coached, but also looking at a lot of the personalities and the people that I coach now or work with, strength and conditioning, rehabilitation, and there's definitely a lot of different angles that I'm coming from to try to relate to them, but also have them relate to like why something's important, right? And you're right, because personality plays a huge role. You're gonna have the really outgoing, outspoken one, right? That you have to just kind of, calm them down a little bit.
We have to like stay even keeled right now.
And then you're gonna have the ones that are very, very quiet, right? When they say a word, it's like, that, okay, it must have been super important because they built up all this courage to talk to you, right?
Actually speak.
But then those kind of people, without overwhelming them, you got to make them feel like they get a lot of benefit from actually speaking up and all of that. So the coaching aspect, two-way street, right? The player and the coach, there's a lot of things that you learn from this, and then it ties back into what you said in the real world, right? Like communicating. And for me too, I guess it's kind of interesting when we sit down and talk about this, because even for me in my career, kind of mid-career level, I do the exact same thing with like my advisors, my mentors, it's like asking like, okay, what do I need to do? What kinds of adjustments do I make? What advice do you have? And then let's go attack that instead of just being in your own little bubble, right?
Yeah,
and just
exactly.
moving forward without the direction of anyone around you.
I know.
Right? Yeah.
And there's so much psychology that you think, and then sometimes you overthink. Like I got this one girl we're coaching, she's just an overthinker. Like she's super energetic, which is awesome for the team, but she's an overthinker. I'm just like, for her, just like keep it simple. Like just next play. Don't think about your error. Don't let it snowball. Just next play. Just like simple. And sometimes I need that too, like just simple, like loose. I always had that in my mind, just like loose, because I now tighten up my shoulder. I would tighten up my passing, and then I make errors. And I just have like one little thing, like stay loose. And then there's other ones who you're right, there's different personalities, but that being said, like there's no one way to success. There's guys like Michael Jordan who have like the most energetic person in the entire world, and he wins 6. And then you guys who are just more reserved, like Tim Duncan, or like I don't know, maybe you could say Tom Brady or something, and they're just like consistent and they just get the job done. You know what I mean? And they have like the same amount of titles. So there's never one way of success. Like you need this personality type. You only type A people are world champions kind of thing. So it's so much to think about though.
There's so many things to think about, and I think that's really another thing about a good coach, right? Is they can see kind of the broader picture or the perspective that maybe the player can't see, and then start to attack it from all these different ways to actually help that person become stronger or improve or strengthen.